Good. Okay, so this module needs to be given after a module which would introduce the FAR, explaining what the FAR is and explaining where to find it and its importance in federal contracts. Okay. And so in this FAR matrix module, you'll learn about the FAR matrix. You will learn where to find the FAR matrix and how it is used. But the purpose of FAR module is to describe what is in the construction contract documents and how they're prepared. So normally in federal projects, the contracting requirements are prepared by a group that specializes in preparing these documents. And in this module, you will learn that what is in the contract requirements in federal contracts is not a matter of random selection of the requirements that are in the contract, but are there because of the guidance and direction contained within the FAR. So the FAR matrix shows the relationship between the FAR provisions and the FAR clauses for various contract characteristics. And this FAR matrix was developed from the requirements in the FAR. And we'll take a look at the matrix and see how this works and how the matrix can be used. And you will find the matrix at the end of FAR Part 52. And you should already have the FAR in your hands from the previous presentations. So if you look at the end of the FAR Part 52, you will discover the thing called a matrix, and that is the FAR matrix that we're going to be talking about. And the FAR is really the instructions for using the provisions and clauses. In FAR Subpart 52.1, there are detailed instructions for using provisions and clauses in contracts. And these instructions are fairly convoluted, and probably for the work that people are involved in developing the specifications for a construction contract, it's not necessary to know all of these instructions about how to use the FAR. The people who are going to put the contracting requirements together are the ones who really should be familiar with all of these instructions. And so you, as a preparer of specifications, don't really need to be totally familiar with all these instructions. Just be aware that they are there and they are followed. So here are the instructions. And 52.102 is incorporating provisions and clauses. It says that provisions and clauses should be incorporated by reference to the maximum extent practicable. But rather than being incorporated by full text, and this is done a lot, I find that with the development of electronic solicitations, this is really not necessary and puts the bidder on the contract, gives that bidder extra work, because when it's by reference only, then the bidder's got to get out there and look it up. So if you're doing an electronic type solicitation, in my mind, it's better to incorporate it in full text. So this is sort of, I think, left over from the days long ago before electronic solicitations. Let's take a look at the FAR clause, and I know that this is probably too little for you to really grasp entirely, but you can look in the FAR and you'll see this. And we're going to look at the various pieces and what they are and what they mean. So the first piece we want to look at is this piece right here, which is the one at the top. This is sort of the key to understanding what all the things down in the matrix are. So let's look at that in a little more detail. And here's a piece of it, and you can see that one piece is the type of contract. And so the FAR covers all types of contracts, and so normally we're not interested in all types of contracts. Normally the contract type that we're most interested in, or likely to be interested in, is FPCON, which is fixed price construction. And so we're going to concentrate on fixed price construction. Here's some more of those contract types, and here you can see that architect engineering is one of the contract types. Indefinite delivery, which is used a lot, is another one of the contract types. And then as you come on down, you get into a column that says the contract purpose. So the contract purpose has got these symbols in it that show you whether it's required or when applicable and optional and so forth. But the main one is required, because those contract clauses that are required have got to be in the contract. And then when applicable really means if it is applicable to your contract, then it is required. So the R and the A are very similar, except that the A has some sort of test that has to be run to see if it is required. And then optional just means optional, and oftentimes that's maybe totally at the option of the contracting officer. So those are the ones we just went through. Practice that a little bit. And then let's go back and look at the FAR clause, the whole matrix again. And now let's talk about the other piece of it down here, which is the piece where the matrix really exists. And we're going to break that up into a couple of sections so we can see it easier and talk about it better. So now taking that top little piece of that and broken it up into two pieces so we can talk about it. And one piece is the provision or clause. This gives you the number of that provision or clause, like the 52303-2 is certificate of independent price determination. And then you have prescribed in, and it's 3.103-1. And in, if you have downloaded the PDF form of the FAR, you can see that those numbers are in blue, and those are hyperlinks. So if you wanted to just hyperlink from the matrix over to the certificate, you can do that, certificate with the clause itself. Or if you want to hyperlink over to where it's prescribed, then you can do that. And we'll look at those for this particular one. And here you can see that, and then the bottom one part, another piece of it. So we're going to look at this particular clause, and here it is. 52.203-2, Certificate of Independent Price Determination. It's as prescribed in 3.103-1 that we just saw. Insert the following provision. And so this is the provision. The offeror certifies that, So this goes in the contract. And then if you come down to the next piece, you can look under where this is where it's prescribed, and we just saw that on the slide. Coming on down, we see that that is FPCON, which is our fixed price construction type contract. And you see that it is got an A, which means when it is applicable, then it is used. So we'll look at that again, the 3.103-1 solicitation provisions, and this is what it says. It says the contracting officer shall insert the provision at Certificate of Independent Price Determination in solicitations when a firm fixed price contract or a fixed price contract with economic price adjustment is contemplated unless, and then it has some unlesses. So this is a clause that's used when applicable, and here's where you find out whether it's applicable or not, but basically for a fixed price contract, it's applicable, so it will be in the contract. This, when you look at a matrix like that, it just sort of cries out to be automated, doesn't it? You know, this should be in a computer program. I shouldn't have to go through all this matrix stuff. And sure enough, it is. There's a computer program called Procurement Desktop Defense, PD squared, and this computer program is a question and answer software program that, based on the answers given to it, it generates the contracting requirements for a contract. So for the one we saw, if you answered it was a fixed price construction contract and you didn't meet the questions for any of the exceptions, then this would go in. So it would be in the contract. So PD Squared essentially implements the FAR matrix through a computer program, and that's what it does. And then this PD Squared program extends beyond just producing the contract requirements. It often sends the information about the contract to a central DoD database. And the PD Squared program is an integral part of DoD's standard procurement system, which is an overarching program that the Department of Defense has. And the standard procurement system program is a cornerstone of the DoD's paperless acquisition initiative. And basically, I would say this SPS integrates acquisition, logistics, and financial management. As far as a person preparing the construction specifications, it's not necessary to get this deep into the thing. Need to have some appreciation of the FAR matrix and how this system works, but it's not necessary to know all of the ins and outs of the standard procurement system program. Now let's do a little exercise here. So here we have a fixed price construction contract and we want to use a unit price bid item. Here's what we want you to do. Search the FAR to find the following. And one of the things you'll find out about the FAR and doing searches in these PDF files is it's not very forgiving on having the name being not exactly right. So you've got to know the exact right term to search for, or you won't find what you're looking for. And oftentimes that means doing some several searches using different terms. And then also you'll find out that you'll find lots of these things that come up if you do a search on a term, and most of them are not what you want. So, but your job right now is to do this search for unit price bid item clause and find out where what the contract clause is that addresses that and where the use of the clause is prescribed. And then what is the number of the clause? You probably already know that, but then you need to know what does the A mean under the FP-CON in the row for this clause, and how much variation in quantity is allowed before a modification may be required. So this exercise is purpose is to learn how the FAR matrix was developed and how to make use of it, and to appreciate that some knowledge of the FAR and clauses greatly simplifies searches. You've got to search exactly the right words, and if you don't know the magic words, then you're going to have trouble finding things, but you can usually get there by doing a few searches, and hopefully you'll have enough experience in preparing contract documents to know some terms to search for. So, and that is the end of this module.